Have you witnessed this yourself? Have you been there ever? Just a short answer, yes or no?
Something really weird is happening between China and Canada, and this should concern not just Canadians, but also people in the US and China watchers globally. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lu. I talk about China and its influence in the West from lived experience, so make sure you subscribe and follow. Today we're going to talk about a Chinese-Canadian politician who defended China at a parliamentary committee in Canada.
Do you have an advanced degree in technology and cybersecurity? Yes or no?
No, but I have spent 37 years in that business.
I need to get short answers, please.
Okay. We'll get into who he is, what he did in a little bit, but I just want to say this is not just about one rogue Canadian politician. This is not about a few rude questions posed to a witness that didn't have to be there. This is about a massive, quiet shift in North American geopolitics. It's no secret, at least not to Canadians, that the US-Canada relations have been under strain. And it looks like Canada is picking a side. And let's just say that that decision is not going to make the US or some Canadians, dare I say, happy.
Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses that we must correct.
And just to give you some context, this is what our Prime Minister, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, said about China in comparison to what he said about the US.
Less than a year ago, you said that China was the biggest security threat to Canada. Do you still believe that?
The security landscape continues to change. We face many threats. You manage those threats through engagement, and we're pursuing all of those. And I would say that the threat environment has increased, the risks have multiplied, so too has our resilience and our engagement.
As someone who was born and raised in China, and as someone who is now a naturalized Chinese-Canadian citizen, it is shocking to see the double standard here coming out of a democratic leader. And this is not just a Canada problem. I think a lot of middle powers have very similar issues when it comes to dealing with China. People are more willing to look the other way when it comes to China.
Do you have an advanced degree in technology and cybersecurity? Yes or no?
No, but I have spent 37 years in that business. I need to get short answers, please.
So this is a very deliberate attack on the witness's credentials.
Okay.
The other one is you belong to the China Strategic Risk Institute. So does this institute specifically look for risk when there isn't one? Yes or no?
No.
So why is it a risk institute?
Because it's
growing up, whenever there is someone that's not Chinese, say there's a foreign media, the first tactic that the Chinese Communist Party used to attack that entity, that reporter, is to play the victim. He's basically saying, China is not the problem. You're the one who's causing the problem. You're the one who's trying to make a fuss about something that's not there. So it's a subtle psychological shift of accountability, I guess. And for people who understand China, maybe people who are a little bit older, who didn't grow up in the age of TikTok, we would probably understand that this is absurd. Of course, China is not the injured party here. Of course, China is not getting picked on. That's not why the regime is criticized. But for people who are very neutral or know very little about how authoritarian the regime is, this is quite effective.
Analyzes risks that are obviously there.
Thank you. So the last question then is, you claim about forced labor in Shenzhen. Have you witnessed this yourself? Have you been there ever?
I've been to China many times.
Have you witnessed
since
forced labor in
1979?
Have you witnessed just a short answer. Have you witnessed forced labor in Shenzhen? Yes or no?
This is a line that I heard so many times growing up in China. Whenever people just challenge the regime's narrative about how we're the victims, the first question a Chinese person would ask is, have you ever been to China? Have you ever seen that personally? To witness personally something horrible happen in China is a ridiculously high standard. And it's a tactic that the Chinese Communist Party use to basically shut people up and basically saying, if you didn't see that with your own eyes, no matter how much research you have done, you have no right to advocate for those victims. And just imagine how horrible that would be when you want to help them. This almighty regime tells you you don't have the authority to speak on their behalf to help them, to make their stories heard.
So did you get that
I
from
work closely
hearsay?
with Human Rights Watch where researchers did witness it.
So thank you. I'd like to set the record straight that the question with the witness was whether she had witnessed forced labor in Shenzhen that she had claimed. I had made no assertion of either support or deny it. I just asked whether she had witnessed it. And so that's the period. That was the line of question. We asked many times with different witnesses whether they have seen certain things that they claim. And that's very legitimate questions. And if the conservatives want to turn that into a political situation, then the shame is on your side.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is, as an authoritarian regime, there is something that they do much better than a democracy. In a democracy, you have a diversity of thinking. You hear a lot of different opinions. Sure, there's indoctrination everywhere, you can argue that, but there's something that's fundamentally different for an authoritarian regime. There's a top-down indoctrination that they have perfected over centuries in China's case, and they're exporting that. This is something that every single Chinese leader understands. They understand the importance of such indoctrination.
Do you believe there is forced labor in China?
I believe there are forced laborers all over the world.
What about China specifically?
Well, all over the world.
It's really not uncommon to see someone with Michael Ma's story. He was born in Hong Kong. He moved to Canada at the age of 12. He has a degree in business and computer science. As a Chinese-Canadian politician with his, resume and personal experience, this is a typical profile of a primary target for China's foreign influence. What's interesting is Michael Ma was elected as a Conservative Party member, but just months after he was elected as a Conservative MP, he switched his political party. Not only did he switch his political party, he became almost overnight from a backbencher to a key architect of Prime Minister's China pivot. Today, he serves as the vice chair of the Canada-China Legislative Association. He is a primary gatekeeper for Canada's relationship with the PRC. So this is really a story about domestic politics, personal gain, and greed. And China just yet again is at the right time, at the right place, and it's taking all the advantage it can. For a middle power like Canada, we don't have a lot of economic power like the US. What China has done and continues to do is they dangle this short-term economic relief. In this case, Canada is getting a couple of thousands of cheap Chinese EVs, which have huge national security risks that the government is willing to overlook. In exchange, they want political obedience. They want you to appoint a pro-China politician. They want you to appoint a pro-China senator. And those positions have a long-lasting effect on your people's opinions on the regime. And it does pay off in the long run. It would yield more fruits than, a few thousands of EVs. And a lot of people say, we will never be influenced. We'll give what they want. It's the money at the end of the day that matters. And you are so hugely mistaken. Because from my personal experience, and this is probably even truer if you live in a democracy, people's opinions matter. How they view a regime, how they view a government, it really truly does matter. And I wish I could say this is just about one political party, this is just about one middle power like Canada. It's not. And what really pains me is a lot of Canadians do not understand how bad this is. They do not understand the scope and the seriousness of such influence.